how did you come up with it?
I had asked my staff person, given a copy of my contract to my finance person, and asked them to take a look to tell me how much it would be worth to me.
Okay, and that staff person was Gina Humphreys?
Yes.
She's the same person that ultimately was working on providing the list of information that Mr. Greer was looking for?
I don't know that she might have been the point person, but I believe the finance department would have been the one to pretty much do all that work for her.
Was she in charge of the finance department?
She was.
What was her position in relation to Rita Davis?
Supervisor.
Gina Humphreys was the supervisor?
Yes.
And Rita Davis was what position?
Finance director.
Would Rita Davis be one below Ms. Humphreys?
Yes.
Did you have an understanding of how much money you were seeking from Anderson County for the anticipatory breach claim you were making against them?
At what point in time?
Prior to November 18, 2008, when the severance agreement was voted on?
Yes.
What was your understanding of how that total figure was, or what amounts made up that total figure? I guess that's a better way to say it.
I know that Mr. Greer had been talking, the committee had been talking with their attorney and with my attorney, and that Gina had provided them with information and had gone over these numbers.
So your claim then was made up of an $827,222 claim, which represents what you believe was your entitlement under your severance provision of your contract, right?
Right. Okay.
And in addition, on the second page, there's a paragraph, the second paragraph talks about a $356,087 figure that represented the amount needed to purchase you 7 years, 7 months, and 23 days of service credits, correct?
Yes.
And that's part of what you were seeking,
Right.
in terms of settling your anticipatory breach claim.
Yes.
And then there's also a provision at the end of that same paragraph. It talked about, the very last line of that talks about a $92,772 figure.
Yes.
Do you know what that amount relates to?
It was health and HR. It was health insurance.
Did you determine at some point that you already were going to receive health insurance coverage and didn't need that figure?
At that particular time, I believe the county was changing. At the end of the year, the county was changing its health insurance policy. So right through the negotiations, I learned that it would have been nice to have had this in addition to that, but I didn't have one.
Okay. In the end, it wasn't part of your severance agreement.
Yeah.
Do you know who prepared the spreadsheets that are attached to Exhibit 6 and 7?
No, I believe 7. I mean, I don't know. It might have been prepared by the finance department, but I don't know who exactly the finance department would have prepared.
And can you say that those spreadsheets were prepared at your request?
No, I have to say they were prepared at the request of myself and I believe county council too. I think they needed to see what the severance package would consist of.
So is it your understanding that Ms. Humphreys was preparing spreadsheets to try to calculate the amounts due to you under your severance provision of your contract on behalf of both you and county council? Is that your understanding?
I just asked her just to provide me with a list of what it cost the county for me, what that number was, and that's what she ran. And if they asked me to do it, I don't know. I don't believe it was just her. I think it was the finance department that worked on it.
What about the $356,000 figure for purchasing retirement service credit? How did that figure come about? You know?
Now I know I talked to the retirement system once, but I think it may have come from personnel they had asked, or it came out of finance. Maybe Mr. Davis had asked for it. I just don't remember.
And you had started asking questions of the South Carolina retirement system back in July. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
In terms of what type of credit you might be able to purchase and how much it might cost?
Yes.
Can you identify what exhibit number 8 is?
It's a letter from Rita Davis to me, describing a conversation that she had had with Mr. Greer,
And what's the date of that letter?
November the 3rd.
Would you agree with me that that exhibit number 8 reflects that Mr. Greer was asking for information about balances available in the general fund
Yes.
on or after November 3rd, 2008?
Yes.
And did you have an understanding that these amounts were amounts that were going to be used as part of your severance payment?
I would have had no way to really know that that was what that was about. I didn't ask her. Rita and Gina had kind of standing permission for me to talk to county council members when they called.
Except for Cindy Wilson.
They talked to her too.
You knew at this point, by November 3rd, 2008, that discussions about whether to provide you a severance agreement and how much to provide you with respect to a severance agreement were pretty well underway, correct?
They were, but that wasn't the only business the county was involved in at that time.
Did you ever come to know that Mr. Greer was looking to determine where money could come from to pay your severance agreement?
At some point in time, yeah, I did.
So whether you knew it on November 3rd,
We talked to Ms. Humphreys about it. I didn't know that directly had to do with that.
Preston, I'm now handed you what's marked as claims exhibit number 10. Take your time, but ultimately I want to ask that you can identify this document.
So, yes, it's release of claims.
Is this a copy of the severance agreement and release of claims that was voted on by Anderson County Council on November 18, 2008, and ultimately signed both by the county and by you?
Yes.
Do you recall when you signed the document?
I think it was immediately after the county council meeting, or the next day, after the council meeting.
Do you recall, as between those two, do you recall specifically which one?
It was after the council meeting.
That night, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Who presented it to you for signature?
I don't know. County attorney, I believe. Yeah. I think that's what he did.
And did you see a copy of this agreement in advance of the November 18, 2008 meeting? Even if it was minutes before the meeting started?
Can't recall. I believe my attorney sent me something, but I don't recall if it was this agreement or not.
On the last page, or the second last page, I guess, page 4 of the document, that's exhibit number 10, there's provision number 19, you see that?
Yes.
Talks about the employee, which in this case was referencing you, having 7 days to revoke the agreement after it has been signed.
Yes.
Do you understand that provision to give you some amount of time, 7 days in this case, to revoke the agreement even after you sign it?
Yes, sir.
And is it your understanding that the council went ahead and hired Mr. Cunningham as your replacement on the same night that they voted in favor of this severance agreement?
Yes, sir. I saw that.
On the second page of this document, exhibit number 10, there's a paragraph 4 that sets forth in a total sum of $1,139,833 as an amount the county will pay the employee in connection with the agreement. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And it breaks it into two pieces. Part A being $359,258 paid to the South Carolina Retirement System for retirement service credits. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And then the second part is a $780,575 payment to you in the form of a severance benefit. Is that right?
Yes.
And that $780,575 payment, is it your understanding that it reflects the amount due to you under your employment agreement as a severance payment?
Yes.
And in addition, you also got title to the 2006 GMC Yukon that you had been driving as a county vehicle.
Yes.
You had in total, based on all the various earned service and purchased service credits for you, if you had a total of 29 years, 9 months, and 10 days of service credit with the South Carolina Retirement System, you ended up having more than the minimum required to immediately retire. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir. I bought some too.
Why would you do that?
Because I had service time in North Carolina that I could buy.
And would you do it mainly to get an increased amount of benefit?
Yes, sir.
There's no other reason.
Well, to get you closer to the time you retire, and I guess that increased benefit too.
I mean, once you have 28 years, you're going to be able to retire immediately.
Right.
Do you have any documents that confirm that you did in fact buy some additional retirement service credit in 2008?
I wrote a check for it, but I don't know if I have it any longer.
Do you want a break or do you want to keep going?
Do you recall, now I want to talk about any other litigation that you recall. Now, this may be long.
Sorry.
We talked earlier about the fact that you had inquired of the South Carolina Retirement System about retirement service credit purchases earlier in 2008, or at a time in 2008. Do you recall making a request about the cost of buying back 5 years of unearned time?
Yes, sir.
And was that 5 years of unearned time that would be used toward trying to retire immediately?
I was looking to see what my options were. Yes, sir.
I think we can ask this better with a different document. Hold on. I'll show you now. It's marked as Exhibit 17.
Okay.
This actually appears to be a document that was mailed to you.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember receiving this document?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
That's, I think the request that I made by telephone to the other lady was.
Okay. And this is someone at the South Carolina Retirement System you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
And what is this? What is your understanding of what this document actually is?
I was trying to figure out exactly how much time I needed in order to retire, how much time that I could purchase back, and what was left over. What was needed.
Okay. And why were you doing this at this time in July 2008?
Again, I was looking at my options, just like I was seeking possible other employment opportunities too.
And this was in light of your concerns that the incoming council might do something to terminate you come July or January 2009?
Yes, sir.
Did you talk to anyone from the existing county council in 2008 about your inquiries into the purchase of service credit for retirement?
No, we did not.
At any time did you do that?
No, we did not.
This is exhibit number 19. Do you recognize this exhibit?
It's a letter that I wrote to the retirement system.
And you wrote it on November 21st, 2008?
Yes, sir.
That's your signature on the first page?
Yes, sir.
And what are you asking the retirement system to do with this letter?
Just calculate my retirement.
Would it be fair to say, and I think we've covered this, but would it be fair to say that you ended up disputing with the South Carolina retirement system how they should calculate your retirement payments?
Again, remind you that earlier, the staff during the same time period had calculated it, and I didn't know if that was correct or not. So I sent a request on it.
And the staff calculated it at your request?
Yes, as they do with any employee all the time.
And did you get a chance to look at what the staff calculated before it was sent to the South Carolina retirement system?
I signed this, so I assume I understood this.
And did you,
I specifically remember what the staff told me after they ran their analysis, and then this would made it official.
and would you agree with me in just in general terms that the point of contention you had with the South Carolina retirement system was you believed that they should include your severance payment as part of your last 3 years worth of income while working in the county?
Yes,
Whereas they disagreed with that.
that's right.
And that, you went back and forth with the South Carolina retirement system about that issue, and ultimately the South Carolina retirement system said, no, we're not going to do that. Is that
Yes,
fair?
that's right.
All right, let me just show you. I think these are the other documents that reflect that back and forth that you had. This is exhibit number 20.
Right.
Would you agree that that's a letter that you wrote on or about December 1st, 2008?
Yes,
And it relates to the issue that we're talking about?
yes.
Exhibit number 21. Tell me if you agree that that's a letter that you received from the South Carolina retirement system on or after December 10th, 2008 concerning this same issue about how to calculate your retirement benefit?
Yes, sir.
Exhibit number 22. Would you agree with me that exhibit number 22 is a letter you wrote on or about December 22nd, 2008 to the South Carolina retirement system concerning this dispute over how to calculate your retirement payments?
Yes.
And the last one.
How do you keep from getting a paper cut?
I don't know, someone is lucky. Exhibit number 23, just ask if you agree that this is a document you received back from the South Carolina retirement system on or after April 7, 2009, reflecting the final agency determination concerning the dispute you had with them over how to calculate your retirement benefit.
Yes, sir.
Did you pay income taxes on the amounts paid to you pursuant to the severance agreement?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you recall about Michael Thompson's inquiry about working for the county in 2008. What's your recollection of what happened with Mr. Thompson in 2008?
Michael Thompson came to see me some time to understand he had all the council members had regular meetings. He came to see me sometime in January, I believe, February, late February, mid-February, and we had a discussion. He asked me if I would hire him, or employ him, beginning of the next year.
Beginning of 2009?
Yes, sir.
At that point in time, was Mr. Thompson running for re-election, or?
I'm not sure exactly when filing occurred, but I don't know.
Did you encourage Mr. Thompson to seek county employment after his tenure as a county council member ended?
Did I encourage him?
Right.
No,
Did you discourage him?
no.
Did you see any problem with him seeking employment with the county as a general proposition?
No.
I should say it a broader way. Did you see any problem with city and county council members seeking county employment for a time after they left office?
Happens all over the state of South Carolina. No.
You don't recall exactly when Mr. Thompson first approached you, do you?
I said it was in February.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Yes, sir.
And did Mr. Thompson approach you about taking appraisal courses that were being paid by the county?
Yes, sir. There was discussion about it.
What do you remember about that discussion?
When he talked to me about a job with the county, he wanted to pursue the assessor's job, I believe, or a job in the assessor's department.
Do you know whether or not Mr. Thompson had any qualifications that made him a good candidate for the assessor's job?
He was a licensed real estate sales agent, which is more qualified than 90% of the people that we have to new hire for.
You hired as the assessor or within the assessor's department?
Any position within the assessor's department. I think the assessor there, they hired him from the health department. I don't think he had any experience in assessment when he took the job.
Why would you, ultimately you agree, you approved Michael Thompson taking appraisal courses that were paid by the county, did you not?
I didn't approve it. I mean, it's a ministerial thing. The county council member wants to take a class, they can take a class. I don't approve or disapprove of it.
You're the person who signed off on the payment request that Mr. Thompson submitted to pay for his appraisal courses, did you not?
Because I wanted to, I have to sign off on everything.
Is there no mechanism by which you could protest or raise questions about reimbursement requests submitted to you by a county council member?
No, sir.
None whatsoever?
No.